Well, slap me silly and call me Vasco da Gama. It is December. First week of December, holidays are around. Those are the tunes of one Barry Zito, Ballpark Kids. Download that song. Love that guy. Love that music. Flick Money's here. Chad Chop is here. Guys, how we doing? Let's start with Chad Chop, top left. Beard looks good.
Yeah, I feel good. Feel as good as my beard looks. It's not as maybe not as organized as you would want it, but it's still strong to quite strong. That's kind of how I feel.
Well, you look good, and if you're watching on YouTube, which you should, to see these faces, Chad Chop's in a new office, and you just wait. Week by week, he's going to add Kobe Bryant posters, trophies of World Series championships, and the like. Coach Flick Money is back. We missed you last week, but I hear you were under the climate.
Man, I got waylaid with the flu. I have a 4.5 year old and a 2.5 year old. They brought something home, and I had the fever shakes. I fell asleep the night before we were going to record this podcast, and I slept 16 straight hours. So my body is an amazing healer. Thank you, body. Thank you, creator of body. And I plowed through it in about another 24 hours. But woo, that was something else.
Bingo, bango. Well, we're glad to have you back. We missed you, but we held the fort down like old times,
Yeah.
and that's what we do. When you can't sign Blake Snell, then you got to go for a you got to go for the backup plan. And the
Yeah.
Dodgers don't need a backup plan because they've got eight backup plans. Um, I want to start there, but first, this episode brought to you by my cup of coffee and my Cubs mug. Jerry Seinfeld, I heard him say this: coffee, the cup of coffee in the morning. It is the only thing in life that 100% has your back. It has your back. It says with that first sip, me, you, we've got this thing. We're in it together. And man, I tell you, I want to be that kind of coach. The way coffee is, specifically Lavazza, Italian coffee is to my soul. I want to be that kind of coach for my players here. It's also brought to you by some learning. I think parents, coaches, listeners out there, you want some learning. Well, we got it for you. These two guys, Coach Flikke and Chad Chop, they have set up. They've taken some time out of their schedules to set up these Zoom sessions for you, private sessions. You think of it like a hitting lesson or a throwing lesson or a catching lesson, but instead of being in the batting cage, you're doing it right here with these beards. So, Flick Money, you share your email address first, and then really what you are interested in, and then we'll hit it to Chopper. What do you got, Flick Money?
Coach, thank you so much. A few requests have come through to follow up on some of these topics we've been discussing. So Chopper and I are available to you for one-on-one sessions privately. Personally, anything related to baseball coaching, I know we both are deep into that. I guess if I had an angle of specialty, um, being that I'm really close to getting done with my Master of Science in licensed mental health counseling, my specialty tends to be if you got difficult personalities, things that you're struggling with in terms of how to manage challenging personalities, either on the kid side, the adult side. Something along that nature, the human side of it, I tend to probably be my strength. But happy to be a resource in any regard. Obviously, having coached teams, run a hitting facility, summer camps, clinics, we've seen a lot. So I'm happy to be a resource. My email address, if you're interested, I'm Sean Sean, and Flikke is Flikke. So all one word, Sean Flikke at gmail.com. And I'm happy to connect with y'all. Thank you so much, Coach.
You know it. Everything I know, it stems from the Flick money. As a young coach, and this has been documented on this podcast, I just watched in awe. And he's not just a great teacher of children, but a great teacher of men and coaches. So jump on it. Absolutely. That's Coach Flicky. And then here's another option for you. We got Chad Chop opening up some time as well. Chopper, what are they going to expect with a half hour or an hour Zoom sesh with you, brother?
Yeah, well, you can reach me at baseball@chadchop.com. And for me, it's going to be obviously baseball, anything baseball related, how to build a culture. So even if it's in the business world, if you're trying to lead some men and women to higher output or just a better overall culture or environment for growth or success, I feel like I'd be worth your time for 30 minutes or an hour, and it's baseball@chadchop.com. We can talk about beards or
Hmm.
business or baseball.
I don't know how we haven't done this yet, but you know, great things come slowly. I think that's the phrase, and this is time. So hook yourself up, email those gentlemen, and and get smarter because baseball season's right around the corner. I want to break down Texas a little bit. We didn't get a chance to do that with you last week, Flick Money, because you were having some chats with Mr. Influenza. What spoke to you? What you know, if you had a top three, Texas, um, we did Sandlots there 2 weeks ago. Chopper couldn't make it, but Flick Money flew in from Seattle. And we ran sandlots. We ran sandlots for girls with Coach Texie and Coach Jamie in Austin. Then we had about 140 boys. And then we went over to Salado, right down the road from Austin, and we did it again. So, other than the amazing barbecue and the ZZ Top jam sessions that we had in the car, Flick Money, what spoke to you?
You know, when they say everything's bigger in Texas, coach, it just feels like it hits different when you're there and you're experiencing it through the youth baseball experience. But we noticed the generosity is bigger in Texas. People were unbelievably generous with us, whether that was space, place to sleep, Jay Bruce name drop salute, whether that was places for us to recreate on our one day off to play golf, Bud Norris, name drop salute, former Houston Astro. And the way that the coaches, the parents, the kids showed up. We had kids drive 6 hours from Louisiana, and families. The generosity from parent to child to support their dreams that way. The generosity of the children coming and on an off day and going all in like that. I just felt like, man, it was a wave. It felt like everywhere we went, it just felt like a wave crashing over you when you're standing in the ocean up to your waist and those big rollers come in. A wave of generosity and good vibes. I would say that's the overall piece. And then specifically with the clinics, I mean, with the sandlots, um, there was, it's a palpable sense of joy that kids who, in Texas, they go hard. It's a serious competitive sports environment in Texas, and they go hard. So it's when you see kids that are used to that level of work and putting in time and energy, and then we're now saying yes and joy and fun and laughter and nicknames and supporting each other and cheering and just watching that joyful energy bubble up, man. It was a sight to behold, both in Salado, where the news people showed up, and we had a blackout for a few minutes, and no one even batted an eye. It was just like we just rolled with it, leaned into it, turned it into another aspect of a really amazing sandlot. And in Cedar Park, having the all-girls softball one was absolutely incredible. I saw two left-handed swings chopper that I was like, just like, oh my gosh, if I work for another 20 years as a hitter, I might get to that level. These girls were 6 and 8 or 6 and 10. It was unbelievable how much work some of these kids have done already. So it was just so inspiring. Loved it. Shout out Coach Lightning Strikes. Shout out Coach Toad. Thank you so much for doing everything that you did for the kids and for us. And I guess the last thing I would say, Coach, in regards to Texas is that I just want to be back. I just want to go back there as often as possible. I'm on the Texas, please put me on the Texas tour list because that place is special, and I'm a fan for life.
Yeah, well, get ready. It's going to happen. And I got to tell you, the everything is bigger in Texas, including the mullets. The mullets really stood out to me. And yes, the swings of these softball players. I think if I had two words that stood out as we kind of get ourselves ready for 2025 and do it all over again and hit 40 different cities. Softball. I think every weekend we'll have a Saturday morning softball Sandlot and a Saturday night boys baseball, and then re-rack it Sunday. I think we're gonna either get Texie and Jamie or Coach Allie from California here. We've got to create both, and down, the last few years we've had co-ed, and we've had maybe 5 girls, 100 boys. But when you see 50 girls show up for a softball slash baseball, because some of these girls love baseball too, which is amazing. When it's all girls, man, that really stood out, and you saw some talent. There was some serious talent out there, especially when the culture is set of joy, character development. Let's get behind each other. Let's see how good of a teammate we can become, and let all this talent stuff be a byproduct. They don't have to think about that. They don't have to think about the skills and the talent, and it really came to the front, came to the forefront. So softball, and then boots. The boots in Texas were strong in every city I went to, and that's why we're going to go back to Texas. We've got boots on the ground who are hearts and souls of these communities that they want to make it an experience for the whole community, the whole town. They don't want, they need their league to rally together and become better parents, better coaches, and thus happier kids. So, lightning strike in Austin. I call him Coach Hug because every kid just gives him a hug. And then Salado, he brings the news in. He's got 30 assistant coaches ready to go an hour early, dialed in. And it's kind of a mesh between birthday party and highly organized. You kind of need both. And we had that in Texas. So big news coming. I'll tease that on 2025, and how a huge corporation might be involved with our Sandlot tour. But go big or just stay at home. And I've never liked staying at home. So we're gonna go big. Flick money.
Coach, I just wanted to loop in and tell Chopper and any listener out there, this is the first time I've ever seen this happen. But when you dropped the Jim Abbott story on Salado, I was and then released the kids back to we had 4 fields going, so it was it was a big operation in terms of the space, and so I was overseeing 2 of the fields so that you could do your thing on the main diamond. And one of the fields we had a young ball player, and he had almost the exact same uh, uh, underdeveloped arm and hand on one side that Jim Abbott has. And so it just hit so much different when we got back to the game, and the kids sort of, you could see the kids themselves. No adult had to tell them. They just kind of put the 2 pieces together when they saw him. And he also had a little issue. One of his feet was sort of developed and pointed in and rolled under a little bit. So he had a hard time on the mobility piece. but man, he got in there and he whacked one. And when he made it all the way around the bases, the kids ran in from defense and from the on deck circle, and they tunneled him and tunneled at him. And I'm talking, these are like 6 and 7 year olds, and because he was a little guy, and when he came in scoring, man, you're talking smiles per gallon. That was the best investment of time and energy and distance that I've put in my coaching career in a long time. It was just beautiful, heartwarming.
Man, so inspiring. And those stories are a dime a dozen if you're looking through the right lens. And those assistant coaches over there on that field were dialed and they were in. They were in on let's make core memories, not just for this kid, this kid who I believe was born with a slight condition of cerebral palsy and has worked his way through. But there were a couple of kids early on that were like, "Oh, he's moving slowly. He's different, so to speak." But by the end of the night, there was no different. Everybody was working together. The Benny the Jet working with the Smalls. The Squints was helping out Hambino, and Jim Abbott Jr. Is showing all of us what it means to be a grinder and to overcome. So, atta boy. What was his nickname, Coach? He came up late with a nickname.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was trying to remember because it's been a few weeks, but Spider-Man jumps into my brain, but that may not have been it. But
It
does that?
was, I believe, it was Spider-Man is what he went with, and he just showed us all what it's all about. So uh, Texas was awesome, and much more of that. That'll be a November thing. We'll hit Texas, and maybe we'll hit more cities than we did this year. We got a few questions from the listeners, but before we hit there, it's winter. It's December, and then it's January, and then before you know it, it's like, oh, February. You've got tryouts, you've got teams beginning. So, Chopper, I'll start with you. What should these parents be prioritizing in these so-called cold months, winter months? What should they be working on?
Well, spend time with family first and foremost, and then try to raise your athletic ceiling. That would be my advice. How athletic can you get in these next couple months, especially if you don't have access to a field? Um, I would get with a coach you trust for some one-on-ones, and just try to better your overall skills. Just get good quality reps. I think sometimes you get wrapped up in, I got to get a million reps. No, get 50 quality reps and build on that each day and try to stack days. But I would say spend quality time with your family, raise your athletic ceiling, and find a way to get quality reps.
Athletic Ceiling, a great album by Crosby, Stills, and Nash
Right.
back in the early '80s.
Yep. Circa 83.
It was a circa. Don't quote me on any of that. Flick Money, winter priorities for you, brother.
Yeah, I'm getting to work with, we're going to talk about Blake Snow. I'm working with his dad, Dave, and Seattle Select Baseball. We're doing a mental conditioning program for the winter. We're raising the athletic ceiling on peak performance, and on, character development. So that's going to support and mental health. We're actually giving the coaches some mental health tools. But I just saw an incredible video with Hunter Pence talking about the off seasons. He's a grinder, legendary grinder, and he was extremely hard worker. And he said the off seasons, though, where he invested on the mental side of things, whether that is visualization, whether it was goal setting, whether it was positive self talk, whether it was using actual tools like mental success tools. He said those were the years that the investment on the physical side paid off. He really saw the investment paid off, even though he reduced the amount of physical investment. The mental side sort of was the key that unlocked the peak performance. So when Chop and I are talking about doing these one-on-ones, that's another piece that I'm really focused on is what does it look like to peak perform? What tools can we give kids even at a young age and at different stages? What can they take on that helps their mind, develop so that when they, when big spots happen, that they are calmer, more relaxed, more dialed in, that all that hard work they put in can come out. So that's what I'm focused on this winter, and we'll incorporate that into the one-on-ones if any coaches are interested in that sort of peak performance mental side of coaching.
I love it. I'm hearing athletic ceiling. I'm hearing mental performance. I'm hearing family. I would just add maybe one more. Try to do something outside the comfort zone. Diversify the portfolio. Um, I know some amazing infielders that took dance classes, and my oh my, did it help them turn double plays and move their feet in different ways. And it sounds a little weird, and for a 14, 15-year-old dude, might be like, no way, that's crazy. But doesn't have to be dance. Maybe it's chess, but get outside the comfort zone, diversify. Um, and then what happens is a reboot when it is baseball, softball season, and you feel fresh. So I love that. Tapping into Snellzilla, the Dodgers signed another amazing baseball player. Flick Money, maybe I'll start with you because you know this family. You know Blake Snell. You are working with them in the Seattle area. So um, for the Dodgers, what are they? What should they expect to be getting with Blake Snell?
Well, I've only met Blake one time. I work closely with his dad and his twin brother, Tyler. But Blake is maybe my favorite thing about Blake, on top of his incredible stuff. Obviously, he's elite with his stuff. But my favorite thing about Blake is that right now he's coaching a U12 select, like a travel team. Like, he and another guy coach one of his dad's teams, and he's all in on it. He's like, he pumps those kids up, he puts them out on his socials, he gets them, he gives them cool opportunities outside of the coaching, and they get after it. And so I just love that. Like, even at hundreds of millions of dollars, the dude is still sees himself and orients himself around giving back and being a little league coach. And he's a brand new dad, too. He's got a little one, like a 6 month old at home. So he's also, what they're also getting, he's one of those guys that's fun. I think he's a clubhouse fun builder, being a lefty. Chopper and I, know some of us lefties were a little bit artists, and I think he sees himself that way. I know he's got a huge gamer following, so he loves the online gaming, but he's built a whole community around that, with young people all around the world. And so I think he's going to bring a youthful vitality and energy and fun to the clubhouse, and obviously elite stuff, which, I was worried the Dodgers didn't have enough elite stuff in their already world champion bag. So, good for them for really, trying to shore up a weakness there.
And Chopper, being a pillar of that Dodger clubhouse for years, what's Blake Snell in for? What should he expect when he hits um, Arizona in a few months, buddy?
I think he got a glimpse of it because he had Andrew Friedman, I'm pretty sure, when he was in Tampa. And so it's just, it speaks to, I've said it a long time and no one's going to argue. Like, Freeman's the best to do it. Andrew's never satisfied. He takes ownership when they don't win. He puts it on him, and he puts his team in a position to win every single year. And you don't see that a whole lot in sport.
He's sneaky jacked too.
Yeah, he spends time in the weight room. He'll watch the game a lot of times from there if he's not in the owner's box or the GM suite, presidente. So he's different, man. He's such a good leader, and a true leader takes, the onus is on him. So you hear him after all those years when they don't get it done, when they have more than enough talent to get it done, and he's like, dude, it's my fault, and I got to be better. And they are poised to win for that foreseeable future. Signing Edman was a big sign too. I feel like another glue guy. And so, yeah, Snell knows what he's doing. He knows what he's getting into. And I think Andrew knows what he's getting in Snell. And it's a good match. You're right, Flick. They shored up a weakness. Dustin May's coming back. Tony Gonsolin's coming back. Bobby Miller will be back. Gavin Stone will be back. Dude,
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto will be full strength. Shohei Ohtani will be pitching next year.
Yeah,
They'll
Who's that?
probably bring back Kirsch on that whatever that player option is. Dude, they could have a 12-man rotation if they want. It's crazy.
crazy.
Is this good for baseball? Is it bad for baseball? What are the other 29 teams thinking?
Freaking step it up. Like, sorry, like if I'm the Dodgers, hey, y'all could spend too. I know that it's a big market, but like for me, I love it. I love that they're not satisfied. I love that they're going to be like, "Hey, dude, let's go." Like, who? Sorry, y'all could have signed him. You didn't want to. You didn't spend the money or take the chance or take the risk. So there's going to be plenty of haters out there. I grew up a Laker fan and a Dodger. Not I was an Angel fan growing up, but I grew up a Laker fan. And every year, you remember when they put together like Gary Payton and Karl Malone, and they didn't win that year, but like I'm all about it. Like, hey, if you don't like it, play better. Like, y'all can sign guys too. Like, people don't spend money. So I'm all for it. Flick, what do you got?
Well, yeah, I think it was interesting timing because coming out of the pandemic, there was a kind of a freeze on spending a little bit. There were guys' money was getting messed with, so this is kind of the first like re-explosion. We're going back. Last year was a little preview of that, and I think it's gonna. But I agree, and it does not guarantee. Blake Snell being on the Dodgers does not guarantee that they roll out and win it again. Health has a huge impact, and sometimes things click one year, and you can have the very same group of guys the next year, and something doesn't click, or another team gets hot at the right time. It's baseball's endlessly fascinating. So, to be seen. Dot dot dot. To be continued. But I'm sure a lot of other teams are like, oh, shit. I mean, if you're the Padres right now, you got to be like, no way. I'm sure there's some teams specifically that this hits hard. The Giants, who had Blake last year. I'm sure there's some teams this hits hard for. The Yankees, I'm sure, are feeling some kind of way about it. But yeah, man, it's gonna we'll find out.
Well, they bought the guaranteed health pack too. You didn't see that. The Dodgers also purchased the guaranteed health and chemistry pack. And so, yeah, it's over. See y'all in 2026.
Tough one to find there, that package. Um, Sweet deal. Well, let's finish off today's episode with some questions from the listener. Ladies and gentlemen, please Instagram message me any questions you have as we are building a portfolio of your questions to hit as topics. We've got some new listeners that have tapped in from those questions. So welcome, new listeners. Thank you, patrons. You keep the lights on, literally. And again, you patron supporters, you convince our wives that it's okay that we spend hours a week doing this. We love our wives. Now, my son is 13 and smaller than some kids. He has great character and loves the game, but I feel he is saddened by the exclusivity of travel ball. He's good enough to make some teams, but is afraid to try out. What do I do to encourage him? This is an age. This is a fork in the road kind of age here, where there's some tough discussions that need to be had. I just did a sandlot last night with about 9 12-year-olds, and they're not ready to give up on this game. They love this thing. They're in blue jeans and flannel shirts, and none of them have ever played organized baseball, but they dig this game. So I will throw it to Chopper first, Flick Money second. But for me, can you start a neighborhood sandlot game with his friends and toss a bat out there, toss a tennis ball, and throw some tunes on the radio and say, hey, every week I'm gonna buy some pizzas and some wild cherry Pepsi, and we're gonna have a little sandlot. That just may uh, give them a little more confidence when it comes to tapping into these travel ball teams. But Choparewski, we'll start with you. What do we got?
Well, I would show him the likes of a Jose Altuve, Dustin Pedroia, Mookie Betts, just to give him that encouragement of like baseball's the right sport for it, where you don't have to be 6'10", 250 pounds to play at a high level. So I would encourage him to maybe get some lessons, try to elevate that play, and then try out for some teams. Bring energy, be a good teammate. We were talking about this last night with our younger guys of like, no coach has ever said, I don't want that guy around. He brings too much good energy. His reps are too consistent. He's too mindful of lifting up those around him. I don't have time for it. No. So like those are things you can control. He can't control his size, but he can control the energy and the vibe, and he can be much bigger in the dugout than just his stature. So that would be my encouragement if he wants to play travel baseball. And if he doesn't, that's completely okay. I loved your advice of just get out and play with the boys. You just never know. He hasn't hit puberty yet. I was a little guy and I hit puberty and grew like 6 inches over a summer. So control the controllables, get out there, get some work in. That'll elevate his confidence because hard work always kind of raises our belief in ourselves. You get that confidence through preparation. Flick Money, what do you got?
Well, but I'll hit something real quick with the Altuve story. Great story. Have him watch my Daniel Nava story on
Yes.
YouTube, Instagram, wherever. But it's about 10 minutes long, but it's a good one on this topic. Flick Money.
Yeah, when we take these questions, I've been starting to do let's handle what my assumptions are when I listen to this. I assume that what the dad's telling us is true, that he actually is good. The kid's already skilled enough and good enough to make these teams, or at least some of these teams anyway. Now that if my assumption is wrong and the child actually isn't good enough, then I think we're headed for the Sandlot response, which is then just get him to then just play for the love of the game, stay around the game. Like we've been talking about, we don't know what happens with your body. It might catch, you might catch a wave here in a little bit. Um, but if the assumption is correct that he's already got some skills and is just afraid, then what an opportunity. What an absolute gem of a growable, teachable moment that yes, you're scared. It stands to understand because some of these other kids have started to pull ahead of you, but this is not always going to be the case. And if you learn how to scratch and claw and step through that fear now and you make a team, what an unbelievable step forward in your emotional development. And then as your body starts to fill in and grow, you will have developed this inner set of tools, the scrappiness, the empathy for people who aren't quite there yet. You're going to become a better person and player because of this. So we just got to push through that fear and get them out there. So I guess what I would say to a child is, are you on a travel team now? No. So if every coach says no to you, are you going to be on a travel team? No. So have we lost anything? We haven't lost anything, right? And what we've gained is experience. And you have, as a parent, you have my unconditional love and support. And we will find other opportunities for you to grow and get better. But what an unbelievable chance this is for you to step into a whole nother sort of like early stage of manhood here. And it's exciting, that possibility is exciting. And I will just say, if there's a if any of those travel ball coaches are great coaches, they're going to see it. To Chopper's point, they're going to see the hustle, the effort. They're going to see what a great teammate you are, the eagerness. They're going to see that you haven't quite hit your puberty slot yet, and so they're going to say, hey, you know what? This might be a perfect guy to keep as like our Tommy Edmond, our utility guy. That's going to grow a little bit later, but he's going to show up to practice. I can count on him to be this type of person. So yeah, that would be where I would head, coach.
Modern day Tony Micheletti, the baseball boy from the Tustin Mets back in the day. Tony Micheletti, what a name.
Look it up.
Name drop wherever you are, Tony Micheletti.
I love that flip of we're grieving, we're empathetic, we're feeling the feels of the child, but then there's the flip of opportunity. There is what an opportunity we have here to turn this lemon into sweet wild cherry Pepsi to that RBC root beer. We had a lemon and we turned it into a Tropicana fruit punch with whipped cream on top. Beautiful thing. So read the room. I've made the mistake of, oh, what an opportunity. There's Oh, there's craters falling from the sky. Let's turn it into a batting lesson. A little quickly. Make sure you're reading the room, and sensing what the other person's vibe. The empathy doesn't come natural to me. I've worked on it. I'm self-aware of that. But when the time is right, this is a great opportunity, and it is. It's a great opportunity for much more than baseball, for life opportunity. Um, Anything to close up shop on that question? I got one more here for us, boys, before we close out.
I was just going to say, Coach, that's a great call. And the empathy for the child. If he's saying it's, I'm afraid I'm not going to make it, but actually he's really done playing, that is something you got to know your child on. Like that can be the stated case, but maybe he's kind of done. 13 is a huge line in the sand. And while we hate to lose kids to baseball, if he's saying to you, but here's this other thing I want to do, he's got something else that he really wants to spend time at. So that's you knowing your child. And that's really some conversations. What is this really about, being afraid of not making it, or do you feel kind of done, or do you just want to take a year off? Like, that's I salute you, Coach, because that's that empathy is can be really critical for your relationship.
The empathy salute is not one we've officially added, but if you have ideas for empathy salute, I do like it. It's very close to the King of Africa salute, which is fists under. So if we go palms over, that's the empathy salute. I think we just found something brand new. Watch out, folks. Last question, and then we're going to go play golf for 17 straight hours in our brains. I actually have a to-do list about 20 long, which includes calling the contractor because we have pipe leaks, and we'll probably have to live in a hotel for the month of December. Ah, hey, coach, need a pep talk. I'm in minor ball, which 7, 8, in that range. Today we're getting shelled. Third inning, we're down 9-0. My son is pitching. He isn't strong as a pitcher. 5 batters, and I pull him. I put in the kid that really isn't good. So I'm guessing maybe the kid that hasn't earned the stripes yet to be on the mound. But he has been paying attention, and saying that he wants to pitch. Truthfully, he should be in there. Um, I wanted to give him a chance. Now, and I wanted it to be a legit chance. He can barely get the ball to the plate. It bounces. He struck out a batter and walked 3. Uh, my assistant coach is mad at me because I gave the kid that opportunity, said it was too early. I should have done it at the very end of the game, and not in the middle of the game, the 3rd inning. So we've got a coach kind of in the weeds here, about decision making and who to pitch. First off, the first years of kid pitch, it expect a circus. Expect a lot of wild pitches. Expect it to be a lot of playing fetch with the catcher, millions of stolen bases, and no balls put in play. It won't be real baseball until catchers are throwing 1-9s down to second base. Pitchers are throwing 7 out of 10 strikes. Until then, I think there should be a hybrid. There should be 3 pitches thrown and then get that bat hitting the ball, whether that means on a tee, side toss, front toss from a coach. There needs to be a ball put in play. Go back and listen to our episode, I believe it's 89. Did we just save Little League? Which is a great episode, one of our most popular, where we talk about these rule changes. But um, if you're a first-year kid pitch coach, go in expecting a bit of a dumpster fire and a circus. But I think we can unpack this in a few different ways to communicate with the assistant coaches and the parents of what we're trying to accomplish. So, who wants to start right here?
I can go with
jumping?
it. Yeah, I can go with it. I've had the experience of sometimes you throw the bone to the kid who hasn't necessarily earned it yet, and they shine. So you don't really know until you know in a game situation. I think we need to build a little bit more trust and respect with our coaches. And to your point, Coach Ballgame, just look through the right lens. They're 7 and 8 years old. It's not going to be Cy Young's not walking through that door. So give kids an opportunity. I do like setting some kind of parameters of like, hey, we'll have kids go. It'll be if you walk 3 guys, that's okay. We'll just get another guy in. It's not a personal attack, and we'll look for another opportunity to get you in there quickly just to keep the pace of play going. But yeah, I think this is more about having that conversation away from the kids with our coach and just be like, hey man, this is what we're looking to try to do. This is why we're doing it. The win isn't necessarily the scoreboard. The win is building some confidence in this young man and putting him in the third when the game is, maybe still in the balance versus, if it's 25-0, and he knows that it's just a throwaway opportunity. I think that you have that conversation over a glass of milk with the coach.
Yeah. I think there's two things that this coach is feeling. They're feeling anxiety from the parents and the coaches of, this is unwatchable. This is unbearable. This kid can't even throw the ball to the plate. It's bouncing. And this is very slow pace. It's not real baseball. I think he's also feeling the anxiety from the kid who wants to pitch. Like, can I please pitch? Can I please pitch? So I love the parameters of setting. We're going to have a station set up in right field every practice where we've got a coach tallying how many strikes you throw in 10 pitches. And if you have thrown a certain amount of strikes, maybe that's 5, maybe that's 7, then you've earned the right to be out there. But when you get in the game, it's not a consequence or a punishment if we got to take you out. It's just it's a way to get everybody a chance to feel the game, to feel the feels of being in a game. So, yeah, Flick Money, what do you got?
I love the, we've done this for a long time together, and I know Chopper's on the same page. You you do want kids to have a sense of earning that opportunity. So this is a culture thing. I know it's probably too late now, but I would have had a conversation or a meeting with my coaches and the parents and said, here's how pitching is going to work this year. We're going to work on it in practice. At 7, 8 years old, if they can throw maybe 4 or 5 out of 10 strikes, and we're going to have a big zone of what we call a strike, then they will have earned the opportunity in practice, right? So there's a sort of a step there. And then the second thing is, to Chopper's point, when they get in the game, it's nothing personal. Any combination of walk or hit batsman that totals 3, and we're going to give someone else an opportunity. They'll get more opportunities, but that's just how we're going to do it to make sure that the game keeps moving along. And then the third thing is just when you prepare for a game, just like you do a hitting lineup, at that age I do a pitching order, and so it just takes the anxiety out of it. It takes the sort of like, I just came up with this idea in the moment to pitch my son, versus some kid maybe is already more advanced at it. It just kind of eliminates all of that. So that would be, things that I would do. But at this point, now you're in sort of, can we repair some of this sense of discord with the coach? And so it's going to have to be some repair conversations and let them know what you're thinking about. But that's just some sort of culture things I would focus on.
Yeah, I love the script. I do that with even my 12-year-olds. And so kids are, hey, where am I this inning, next inning? It's like, hey, dude, it's all right there. I've got the lineup. And then on the other side, and it's also posted elsewhere, they've got 2 things. They look at their lineup and then they look at their defense. And it's not a hard, fast script, but if it goes well, that's the script. And, so-and-so is going to pitch the first inning, and so-and-so the second inning, and so-and-so the third and the fourth inning, and fifth and sixth. And it's all there. And then you still have those conversations with kids of like, coach, I'd really like to pitch. Okay, well, here's the script. If something weird happens and we got to honor our rule of 2 walks in an inning we're a little bit older, so ours is 2 walks in an inning. Then I understand you want to get in there, and I'll do my best to get you in. Otherwise, I'll get you on the script next game. And that's just how we do it, so that it minimizes, listen, it doesn't eliminate it, but it minimizes those conversations with kids. You got a lot of things going on as a coach. And if you've got a bunch of kids that want to do stuff, which is a good thing because they want to get that opportunity. And I always tell them, hey, I love that you want to do it. Let me work on finding that opportunity for you. Um, you have a script and it takes a little bit of time, but guess what? You can even send that to your assistant coaches and you can have the conversation before the game. Like, hey, I don't know about putting little Billy in the third inning. That might be something where the game might still be in the balance. Okay, how about the fourth inning? Yeah, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable with that. But then now your assistant coach felt like he had a hand in the script and he's like, man, dude, the third would have been way too early, but the fourth is tolerable. And then you have that conversation and that buy-in before it happens.
Yeah, preparation. I always say preparation. It helps me be present when the game starts or when the kids arrive. Preparation also it keeps you away from these tough conversations or these arguments that you're having with assistant coaches or parents. Communication is key, and if you can have a plan prior to the game, prior to the season, and you set some bullet points of this is how it's going to go, this is what to expect. Then I think it's going to help you. And you won't have these bump ups and run ins with parents and coaches as much. They'll know what to expect. But yeah, those first couple years of kid pitch, you're just trying to get them to that age when it looks like a real game, when there's actually 7 innings of play and more batted balls than wild pitches and stolen bases. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I tell
There's
coaches to
yeah,
avoid the pain in the bahonkus. Preparation H. Preparation helps. You know,
bingo, bango, indeed, indeed, outstanding. Well, there is one more I want to get to. It's very timely and on a serious note. So I appreciate this coach for bringing this question in. But it goes as such. Hey, coach, I need some help. I understand you may not even see these, but I wanted to try anyways. I've been a youth coach for 20 plus years. I've seen a lot of things as a coach, but I'm dealing with a first. My 12U team has an athlete whose mom has been diagnosed with cancer, and the family has been told to prepare for the worst. His dad is one of my assistant coaches. They are phenomenal, a phenomenal family. My heart breaks for them. I'm curious of your feedback on how to love and support him, the coach, and the son through this. Our families are close, and I've told all of them we are there for them no matter what. We've been helping run kids to practices, helping with school projects, but how do I build an environment where he can forget about life on the diamond? And that's this husband and this son. Uh, Ball was my saving grace as a kid, and I just want to create that for him, a sanctuary. Thanks, Coach. Love and appreciate what you do. It's helped reinvigorate me and teach me so much that I thought I had all figured out. Coach, um, empathy, salute. Vulnerability, salute. Uh, it's funny when you coach long enough, these stories hit you. They hit you, and it seems like I get hit with these a couple times a year now, where I'm not baseball coach. I'm just trying to help them through this grieving period. So, Flick Money, I'll start with you. How's this hit you?
I mean, like a ton of bricks. Just feeling for the kid and the family. I mean, what a time in life to get hit with something like this. And, moms are so naturally at the nurturing heart of the whole family unit. I just, my heart goes out to everyone involved here. Um, I know for a fact that um, there's so much now that's abnormal in this child's world on the home side and going to hospitals and these things having to deal with that it sounds like you're doing all the right things. And by right, I mean, how much normalcy can you create for him in the baseball world, right? Um, I know there's a tendency sometimes we want to, if we're empathetic, hey, let's get him to talk about it, or let's get everyone to share with him, and it kind of takes even the baseball side of it a little out of normal, right? Like, cool that everyone's telling me, nice things, or we're all like, but having a place to escape from that's just hyper normal, and so I would just do as much as you can to make those practices, you know, high energy, competitive, fun, the things you would normally do, amp them up a little bit, and give them opportunities to laugh and have joy that aren't, because sometimes if you say, okay, hey, let's all go around and tell this player, what we think of them, it's just like, man, this is another place where it just feels a little odd. Now, having said that, can you have conversations with other kids and be like, hey, let's make sure that we've got this dude's back. Let's make sure that we're pumping him up. And I'm sure maybe that probably all the families know, um, it might already be happening naturally. But yeah, I would just say hyper normal, making sure he can get to and from practices. And every once in a while, my favorite check-in with the kid, I call it fist to five. So a fist would be a zero, one, two, three, four, five. So there's six possible scores. And I would say, hey man, fist to five today. How you doing? Just privately, quietly. Zero would be like worst day of my life. Five would be like unbelievable day. And just check in with them. So it gives him way. He doesn't have to say anything. Fist to five. Where are you at today? I'm a two today. Okay. Well, then I know I might not, lean into him too hard if he seems a little draggy, energy's a little low. If his, maybe I'm not asking him to go out and lead a drill, if it's a zero or a one, then I know I'm going to have to give him some pump up, arms around, extra hugs. So that's something that you can work out with the player and just say, hey, man, every once in a while, we're going to have extremely normal practices, but every once in a while, I'm going to check in because I care about your heart and I just want to make sure you have a place to say, hey, today's a one. Today's a really, really tough day for me. And then that gives me a sense as a coach of when to lean in, when to lean out, and how to lean in. Am I leaning in? If he's having a three, today I can push him a little bit. We can get a little competitive, have some fun. If it's a zero or a one, today's the day I need to lead in with an arm around the shoulder. Today's the day I need to lean in with a little more heart. So that's just one tool that I've used in the past.
Throw a question at you. Uh, One of the coolest things I've ever heard somebody do in these moments of darkness and grieving of a friend is they drove to their house, they parked their car in front of their house on the street, and they just sat in the car. And the husband of the wife who was sick came out. What's going on? He's like, you don't have to talk to me. You don't have to text me. I'm just going to sit here and if you need me, I'm here for the next 12 hours. And I think that is that that's a stance that feels right to me. So I I would ask you, um, would it be cool to have a one-on-one with the dad, have a one-on-one with the kid with that stance and let them know you're not alone. You don't have to tell me anything. You don't have to cry in front of me. You don't have to talk about the issue, but I am going to sit here with and wait and be ready if you need me to run and get some bread or run and do anything. Um, in the event you would want to bring this up to the whole team and talk about um, this time and how hard it is, would you want us to rally behind you and have that chat? I mean, would that be too much? Would that be, I don't know. I struggle with that. Where should we bring the whole team in and have this talk, or should we just leave it as one-on-ones? What do you guys think?
I would just say let it be player directed. So that is a conversation to have with the player. This coach who sent you the text, coach, I would say, ask the player, hey, how do you want us to be teammates? Right? Just like we talk about with parents. How do you want us to be teammates? Because it might change. It's dynamic, right? So there's a process of someone's getting sick when they're sick like this. It's months long process of a decline for the person. So it's going to change over time. Then there's the actual, if mom's not able to have a miraculous healing, and I'm holding space that could happen. But if it doesn't happen, then how do you want us to be around an event? How do you want us to be going forward? Maybe the kid's like, yeah, I would love to talk about it. Like, can we do a talking circle? I would love to, be able to share but that may not be the case. They may be like, hey, I'd prefer not to, believe me, I'm getting plenty of that. We're doing a lot of talking in our family. Like, I'm okay with that. I would just love some distraction. I would love to go do some fun things once in a while here and there. So maybe that's something different families on the team can help and send some invites for some, ice cream breaks and bowling alley trips. But I would just ask the player, and they're young, so they may not know what they need. And that's okay if they're like, I don't know, then you might have to do some little bit of experimentation and gas pedal braking around the edges. But unfortunately, there's not a playbook for pre-grieving the loss and grieving as a 12-year-old male
Yeah.
in this situation. You're just going to have to. But the fact he's asking the question, Coach, I can already tell the heart's in the right place, and this kid's lucky to be on this team.
Indeed. Chopper, this husband and father is assistant coach. Um, what advice do you have for this head coach for him? I mean, what do you got?
Well, we went through it with our group, and we had one of our moms pass away from breast cancer when the boy was 10, turning 11, or just to turn 11. So it was incredibly difficult. There's no roadmap for it other than just making yourself available. And that's what we did. I want to say we set up meal trains for the family. Listen, the kid's going to miss a lot of practice and a lot of games. That's really, really hard. He's going to show up to practice emotional, and it's really hard, dude. It's really hard. We set up a scholarship in the mom's name. Brenda, we put her name on our jerseys for breast cancer awareness, and we honored her. Incredibly dark for the dad, incredibly dark for the kids. I remember Deb gave Fernie Jr. A necklace, and it had the Lord's Prayer on it. And Fernie said that his mom would say that to him every night. So listen, if you believe in a higher power, listen, he'll tug on your heartstrings and give them what they need to hear. Debbie didn't know that. God just told Debbie to give Fernie Jr. the necklace off her neck. And that was something that the mom Brenda did every night with him. So look for those opportunities. Just be available. Be patient. I can say both these boys, Angel and Fernie Jr., not going to talk a lot, man. Like that, they're gonna internalize it. They don't know how to talk or what to say, and so you're his baseball coach, and so make baseball practices fun. I would look for those opportunities, Flick, like you said, one-on-one of, hey, you okay, dude? Like, you all right, man? And now I get to coach him in high school, which is incredible. And still a man of few words. He's 15, just turned 16 now. And Debbie is basically like a mom to them. She's their speed and power coach, and they're, that kind of that motherly figure. They've also got great support with their family. Their aunt really stepped in. But no, dude, it's super, 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 super hard. And all you can do is be available and make sure they know you care. I can tell you the love that I have for that family is unrivaled and unmatched. And so that came through this hard time. And the dad is now remarried, has a little baby, but there will always be this incredible space for Brenda. And so here's the thing too, is they'll be okay, And so like, you've got to just love them through them, be available. But no, it's going to be hard, dude. There's times, like I said, like there were spaces where that family couldn't be there, couldn't be at practice, couldn't be at games. And it was never an issue of like, where you guys at? It was more about, hey, how can we help you? What do you need from us? But yeah, it's hard, dude. Prepare. If I would tell this coach, prepare, dude. It's really hard. It's emotional. It's hard. But all we can do is support through this. It's tough.
Yeah. I like be available, be you, and then get the rest of the team together. And a lot of times 12-year-old boys don't know how to communicate to each other, especially when it's, a topic like this. So let them know what to expect. Let them know what's coming, what this kid is going through, and teach some core life lessons to those other 11, 12 kids on that team of how to approach it, right? Don't other this kid. Don't there's no elephant in the room here. Just be available, and just ask the question, uh, how can I help you? How are you? How can I be available for you? You know, I I think that's how you build that environment. Teach these kids how to approach it. Boys, we just want to let's sweep it under the rug. It's not let's go 180 and do the other route. No, this is a good opportunity to have a team meeting with everybody else and let them know this is our guy and we got to care for him. So I like it. Yeah. Coach to player, coach to assistant coach, the one-on-one, just pull up in your car and say, I'm going to sit here. And if you need anything, just knock on my window. And then if it feels right, you can ask him, do you want this roundtable discussion? Or not? Either way, we're good. So
Meal trains really help, man. Like
yeah,
you forget like families without mom, dude, like it's and she's still here, but like she's going through it, right? So like dinner is an absolute burden on a family in times like this. So like I would set up a meal train with every family on that team. And they won't ask for it and they will say no, but they will love it when you do it. So I would set that up and I would get 2 or 3 weeks of meals just done off their plate. And so um, that would be a recommendation I would do for sure. And once again, the family will probably insist that you don't do it, just do it. And they'll figure it out and they'll appreciate it. It'll matter.
good. Flick Money, anything to close up shop on this and the week?
One subtle thing, Coach. You know, today is the anniversary. When I was 17 years old, lost one of my best friends on December 3rd. Changed our senior year, changed my life. It's definitely one of the reasons I've angled and done the work that I've done and I'm doing in my life. And one thing that I remember with my friends and that really started to shift, and maybe it will happen naturally, but to this coach, the introduction of the word love into your culture. If you don't use it already, I know with 12-year-old boys it can feel awkward. So I might qualify it and say, hey, English has one word, love. It means many different things. Other languages have 12 or 13 different words for that. We have one. There's romantic love, there's love of brotherhood, there's love of humanity, the wider sense. But we're bringing the word love in here intentionally because this is a time for growth and healing for all of us. And so just take the weirdness out of it, but just start saying, I love you, we love you. And sing it to the other players too. It's really powerful to have that sense around, and I think highly encourage that as an incorporation in this time.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Well, gentlemen, uh, can't think of two more wise men to broach this subject with. And for this coach, you're already doing it. You're already on the right track. So, um, my prayers to this family. They'll be going out every night with Avery and Aubrey as we do our nightly thoughts and prayers for folks. And my daughters, they just out of nowhere always say, those people that are sick, those families that are hurting, help them. And that always feels right. So um I got nothing else. That was great. Boys, appreciate you.
Love you, boys.
Love ya.